Welcome to the Two Boots Word Vault podcast. This episode is a recording of a Como Cottage poetry scrum on November 16th, 2024. It features Michael Moos, Thomas R. Smith, Scott Vetsch, and myself. I'm trying to think, should we start with the oldest person or the youngest person?
We'll have to determine that.
I'm flipping a coin. Heads, it's the youngest.
I knew it.
So,
I knew it.
Thomas, will you lay out what we're doing here? You've done a real good job of that in the past.
I have.
Did you guys invent this?
No. Well, no, we just gave it a fancy name.
Yeah, that's all.
Tim supplied that.
Well, they have slams,
No.
scrums.
No, it's not really. It's not really a slam either. It's not competitive. It's
Rubbing around.
aggregative or cumulative. The idea is that we read one after the other, and the rule is you read something that in your mind, or if you can twist it in your mind somehow that it relates to the one that was read before you. You know, it has to have some kind of link.
Yeah.
But part of the fun of it is how that link can be twisted or flimsied or stretched.
To justify what you really want to read.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's it. So that's what we're going to do. We usually do it like 4 times or something, 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 rounds. So when we're doing this, we also find ourselves reading things that we hadn't ever expected to read this evening. So we're off of our set list now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first person just punts.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how you start. That's how you start a rugby game.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Well, okay.
Oh.
So, this is called Who Destroyed the Nuclear Family? It's so dumb, this crazy hive mind absorbing our singular brains like ants crawling through a multi-level concrete parking ramp. Telling myself it works till 3 a.m. when I can't sleep. Trying to remember what it was like before people believed hand-cut steaks were superior to any steak stamped out by a machine. And embraced being fleeced on an industrial level. Like mink or chinchilla farms, you can cultivate anything. Even raise vipers for the deep-fried rattlesnake bite market. Neon light signage blinks, the coiled serpent repeatedly striking the heel of some cartoon hillbilly. A mixtape rapper on low battery calls out the dance. Americana jug band slings the jingle. Fascist clowns and leftist Nazis swing their partners to the popular dance hall hit. Oh, it's a bad idea, what we do. The trans woman accused of flashing her penis in an Ohio YMC locker room is off the hook. The judge ruled she was too fat for her genitals to show. And added, after viewing the defendant, there was little to dispute the facts of the case. Traditional methods, not traditional values. An Iowa man seen pleasuring himself at the come and go all day long, this is true, denied the charges, said he was just very itchy down there. The American male's obsession with massive breasts is re-energizing the annual old-fashioned Christmas by the highway. A Santa baby nativity scene with a live animal petting zoo keeps everyone happy till the wise men show up and it's time for the late show, milk a couple goats and call it a night. They can't all play guitars and can't all drive drunk, and most people like it that way. Just a few fireworks, a little lutefisk, and a handful of ermine cloaks, but remember, it was the Beatles, LSD, and transcendental meditation that destroyed the nuclear family. That's how Mom saw it. A nation of red squirrels hosting their own little Stalingrad. The most violent population on Earth, most volatile weather on the planet, a grim graffiti scratched across the toilet stall of an out-of-touch people, a Happy Meal rainbow swimming with purple plastic unicorns distended with spirit. I never had much spirit. Zero, really. A diet soda at the Pep Fest. A never-ready battery with zero charge. As we speak, human scat trackers are constructing a concise map of local concentrations. Concentrations inform us, pinpoint irregularities, highlight where things happen. The kettle of fish, the box spring of bed bugs, the case of crabs. Who could foresee what 40 years of corporate mayhem would spawn? It's a real puppy mill, the proverbial kick in the pants. I started out with a battalion of pallbearers to carry my coffin, but over the years, with 1,000 apologies, I still have 2. Just trying to deal with the way things are.
Oh, I set up Michael.
Find That's good.
About a third of the way through that wonderful poem, I thought there is no way in hell that my voice can follow that until I heard the word breasts. I'm sorry.
Fancy.
Mike?
Nice fancy footwear.
And you know, it's strange. I think that how upset you are in your own way in that poem, oddly lives in this poem of mine. From my book Morning Windows, I was spending time in New York City. This poem is called Memorial Day, outside the Museum of Natural History. It also speaks to our time. What should I say to these Buddhist monks drinking Coca-Colas on the park bench? I wonder what they think of Teddy Roosevelt riding his green horse into the future. The pigeon walking around on his head. They all seem to be having a good time, laughing in their leathery skins, rocking on their haunches like happy animals. The fat one with a Nikon around his neck points to the beasts of the world carved in granite. The pretzel salesman with a walrus mustache. The red Harley Davidson parked at the curb. A beautiful blonde on the back with mirror sunglasses and great American breasts. Her head thrown back in cliché near perfection. Their saffron robes bring back the pictures I saw once on TV in '68 of one like themselves in Hanoi who drenched his own body in gasoline and struck a match. His death dyed the air with a fire the shape of a lotus. But these men have had enough talk of suffering and self-purification. They're tired of building the bridge by day and tearing it down at night. They're standing up now, crossing Central Park West, climbing the long stone steps, and I am with them, walking through the hall of meteorites, passing through the taxidermist's dream. Who are we remembering today? What are we keeping alive?
Yeah.
Well, New York. New York, monks, Buddhists. So this poem is called Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I chant it, breathe it, or just think it sometimes when I'm feeling anxious. That little Japanese mantra I was given by a friendly young woman on the subway the spring I hitched to New York on my way to Europe. I was fresh off the road, heavy backpack, new hiking boots. I'm sure I had out-of-towner written all over me. This woman, I remember she was short with wavy, sandy-colored hair, brought her face close to mine and said, "This will help you center," and wrote it so I wouldn't forget it. I was lonesome but hopeful that year in the last days of my 20s, discovering I could open the door of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and find reservoirs of calm. Nichiren Buddhist translates variously as glory to the Dharma of the Lotus Sutra, and I take refuge in the lotus of the wonderful law. Saying it ritually is called doing daimoku. I relied on it camping in bushes beside the Autobahn or trying to sleep in a seedy hotel room in Milan. Even now, when troubles worry me awake, I breathe in Nam Myoho and breathe out Renge Kyo, thinking of that time when I was lost and trying to find the way back to my life, and thanking that woman who pegged me for the worried pilgrim I was on the New York subway and gave me the sublime gift of the lotus of the wonderful law.
So I took the word chants. This is titled, and this actually jumps back to New York because my nephew took this poem and composed a jazz piece based on this thing. And I was able to go to New York and watch the premiere at the Lincoln Center, overlooking Central Park, through these huge windows above the yoni and lingam of, that's out there in front of Lincoln Center at Columbus Circle. It's called Joy Soup, which brings us back here with my chanting friends. And David back there is mentioned in this poem. There are nights when a veil drops and I see that we're swimming in a vast terrain of joy soup. Our mumbled songs, our hoarse shouts, our gurgling, rambling chants simmer over Glenn's crackling, flaming guitar. Our words are fruit grease, wiggling to the surface. Robert's poems are honeydews floating in the air. With a cherry in his voice, David sings to a goddess who smacks her lips at the aroma of our cooking souls. Light a match. My poems are just kindling for the stove. Let my words be incense thrown onto the charcoal. Let me be a sugar cube dropped into the tea.
Well, I'm just gonna have to go with the kitchen.
The soup?
Yeah, soup. Well, just you had some other things in there too.
Yep.
So this is called God is Some Guy. Maybe God's like me and has a fruit fly problem. Maybe he chucks his apple cores and banana peels in a bowl piled up with other unwashed dishes and just doesn't feel like going to the compost right now. He will, eventually, but leaves it overnight. He finally washes the dishes, but starts stacking them again. The fruit flies are digging this arrangement. They're thriving. There are mothers and grandfathers, legacy and history, destiny, community, religion, theories about what it's all about, how all these orange peels get there, and why beer cans bountiful with backwash appear auspiciously like some star of Bethlehem. Their lifespans are 40 to 50 days in celestial time, and God works full time. On Fridays, the eagle flies, and God's binge drinking persists through Sunday. The elders consult their almanacs, and crystal balls make predictions. If they're really old, they've seen the season of beer 5 times in their lives. When God goes on the wagon, the impact is famine. The fruit flies hover in irritating ritual dances, pleading with their deities to make him so miserable he breaks down and drives to the liquor store. But when God tires of the hungry cloud and gets his shit together, it's apocalypse. God is not only all-knowing, he is focused on bringing their civilization to an end. God changes his habits, cleans up his act, shrinks his footprint, leaves them not one banana peel, scorched earth all the way. He once felt an empathy for their culture. They just wanted to make a living. It wasn't their fault they had no higher purpose than eating and fucking, but inconvenience trumps altruism. They thought that's how it was. A cloud of flies mistook God's messy counters for manifest destiny. Their cloud mind worked it out. But God had one selfish aim, something incomprehensible. Not what was best for the world, just a clean kitchen.
What an imagination.
The fruit flies and the imagery of garbage.
Okay.
This poem is called A Kind of Beauty, after Po Chu-yi. I don't know, what did he live 1,000 years ago or something? I walk the darkened streets with the body of a tree without leaves. The shadows of passing cars take me with them like a ghost. I listen to the cold for the slow song of last summer's crickets above the silence of the river not yet closed in with ice, reaching for the desire to hold something wild in the mind below the bright windows of the still sleeping city. sand barges are waiting for the night to pass, for the morning sun to touch the wood of the creaking gray docks. I wake late in the night, just drifting and listening for small bird voices, calling from their hidden places of retreat. In the garden beneath the fallen walnut leaves, a small grave sinks slowly, each day moving deeper into the endless room of time. Will there be a time when I will not want more life? I wake in the morning with the body of a leaf, looking for the grass. Rain has been falling gently, while I turned in the deep forest of my sleep. I put on my sweater and my raincoat and go out into the day, thinking how even the sound of the garbage truck in the distance could be a kind of beauty you will not want to lose.
Nice.
Well, I knew right away when Michael introduced his theme that I was going to, sooner rather than later, get a chance to do my morning cloak. Because we're on insects now. And this is my poem for Scott King. Morning cloak. Where are you, Scott? From where I stand on this glaciated bluff above my town, I can see for miles in the hazy spring air, maybe even across the St. Croix River to Minnesota. My mind's eye travels farther, past Hastings all the way to Northfield. All that distance, but no Scott. The woods up here are quiet, not much birdsong, though maybe it's the time of day. The shadow of a butterfly floats across the floor of dead leaves, no canopy to obstruct the mild sun. What will I do now when I want to jump in the car and pull up in front of your house on Oxford Street, your house so deceptively modest but inside a veritable Aladdin's cave of literary treasures? How will I find you to go for a stroll behind St. Olaf and learn from your casually encyclopedic store of natural history the difference between a grass and a sedge, flat versus three-sided, or how to distinguish a flower fly from a bee, 2 wings versus 4. I'll be poorer without your guided walking tours of the land that entranced and delighted you down to its most minute inhabitants, that you recorded with a scientist's precision while translating into the imaginative landscape of poem. I confess that I've been looking for you for days now, ever since the body-blow news of your death on Good Friday, looking for you since you're no longer to be found in the world of space, in the inner world of time. Though your absence is a raw wound in air, my memory keeps shuffling its cards to show me one picture of you after another. Since you're nowhere, I'm finding you everywhere. Scott, this isn't good. What shall we do? It's Easter and the woods are just beginning their resurrection. I know it's not the same flowers coming up on the forest floor as it was last spring. So why do I keep hoping to find you here? As if some mistake was made. Surely some mistake was made. And the earth will admit its error and give you back. Return your smile that never knew its own sweetness. And Scott, what about this butterfly that keeps showing up, gorgeous with its deep red velvet wings edged yellow? Is that you, Scott, for the first time, unable to tell us your name?
Wow.
I decided to pull this book of mine, Portraits of Rodeo Clowns and Royalty, was the last book that Scott edited and published. Red Dragonfly published my later book, but this is the last one Scott worked on. I was thinking about this, and I was trying to find something that would follow. And this is just a short poem. Are you familiar with the story of Wu Daozu, the Chinese painter? Wu Daozu was a Chinese painter, and he painted murals in this cave. And he brought the emperor one time, and as an old man, he brought the emperor, and he says, "Would you like to go in to my painting and see what it's like from the other side?" And the emperor said, So Wu Daozu jumped into his painting and disappeared. If, as an old man, Wu Daozu clapped his hands and disappeared into the mountain cave he had painted in a mural, who's to say the earth is an unfriendly place?
Whoa. Read it again. It's short.
Yeah, it's
Read
short.
it again.
Give it
Okay. Oh, I folded it up. I got to give Scott time to find something.
Yeah.
Right?
That was
The short one.
That was a quarterback sneak.
I think. Well, I'm just paying you back for what you do to Michael.
That's a good ploy. If you're still looking for your next poem, you can just ask the previous guy to read his again.
Yeah, I know.
That's right.
I hope it
I
didn't
don't know.
catch
I'm
on.
asking. I'm all for it.
I can't even find it again. Where are you?
You've got it memorized. Come on.
Yeah, right, sure.
You do.
Yeah. Oh, here it is, page 44. Okay. Apparently, by the time Wu Daozu did this, he's an old man, and he was tired of Chinese culture and politics and everything else. So I felt this way a lot the last week. Just tired of all the imagery and the TV, not just the politics, everything around me. I just got real tired of. So I just wanted to just stand still and let it blow past me. If, as an old man, Wu Daozu clapped his hands and disappeared into the mountain cave he had painted in a mural, who's to say the earth is an unfriendly place?
Okay, well, I guess all I can do is old man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Called Lester. Standing around the kitchen table at the farm, everyone dressed to attend Grandpa's funeral, I turned to Great Uncle Lester, black suit coat over his stripy bib overalls, said, "See you at church." "I'm not going," he said. I gasped, "Really?" "I don't like their music," he replied. But Mom said later it was 'cause he'd have to take off his cap inside. He was tall and lean, face like a hawk, dark wounded eyes below long bushy brows, not much hair left on top. Lester got pulled over at the stop sign down by Oris Sletta's. He rolled down his window, said, "What'd you pull me over for?" The sheriff pointed. "You drove clear through that stop sign." "I know it," Lester told him. "I never stopped for that one." Lester avoided small talk, yups, nopes, not much for goodbyes. He'd look toward the end of the driveway where he'd parked his Plymouth and notice it was gone. An established Norwegian bachelor farmer, a youngest brother, Lester never left home, never changed bedrooms, farmed at 160 the rest of his life, played cribbage at the cafe, watched TV by the stove. At 85, he clarified with infamous brevity why he'd never married. Too expensive. At his own funeral, attendance inescapable, he was buttoned into a suit and tie with everyone watching. No one thought to let him wear his cap.
That's sad.
Oh, so good.
It was the word Plymouth. I didn't want to read this damn poem. You made me.
So funny.
This is so much fun. Morning windows. I was going through a dark time many years ago. It's a poem called Sometimes in August. Sometimes in August, when the cool night comes back, after the sunny harpsichord and the Sunday want ads, the radio sermons and the poached eggs, the checks to Liberty Bank and NSP, my khaki trousers and tennis shoes on the line, after the yellow beans and the gin and tonics, hours lost shuffling the photographs of my failures, after my long walks in the blinding sun, when there's no comfort or wisdom to be found in my hatred of self, I walk out into the summer grass in my bare feet, stare at the spinning lawn sprinkler my neighbor has forgotten, and I see the molecules and the galaxies and the tears of the saints whirling like drops of fire in the dark, falling into the temples of the night crawlers and the crickets. Sometimes, when the good wind comes back to play the cottonwoods, I walk the sidewalks of my neighborhood slowly, as if I were moving, I were still. The earth secretly healing itself, as if I were just born, as if I were one of them, without my pride, squirming for life on the wet cement, making music with my tired legs, singing in the basements of the quiet houses, in the humble window wells, in the small gardens, beneath the tomatoes and the corn, singing in the old starlight and in the compassionate grass. I could have sworn the word Plymouth was in that poem.
Nice line.
Still put it in. It's in there. You take the P from the fourth line.
We like the compassionate grass.
Yeah, that's got a
You
P.
needed to say it, right?
I had two choices here. I'll have you know. One went in a darker direction, and one went in a lighter direction. I felt like I needed a lighter one this time. Take the lighter. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I picked up on singing here. Okay. So this poem is called Surprise Guests. Now I have to preface to say that my wife Krista and I, and occasionally one or two other people, has a little little singing
Oh,
group
yeah.
that sings at our local nursing
I
home.
know what it's going to be.
Okay.
I know it.
Okay, and it's called the House Cats, mostly. Sometimes it's just us, and then it's called the Spieler and Smith set. Okay, so this is called Surprise Guests.
Yeah.
We've just started our set at the Care Center. That's Krista, Ken, and I, a.k.a. the House Cats. When unannounced and unexpected, in breezes Colin and his fiancée Anna, and in glee I let out a whoop and toss our set list in the air and let it float to the floor, because I know as Colin bends to unzip his mandolin case, it's all going to be different from what I thought it would be only seconds ago. Colin, who has been my musical brother since he was in his teens, and who helped me through the pandemic with our backyard jams, who in his current bearded incarnation looks a bit like George Harrison, steps to the mic, and we are off on the wings of that great old country gospel song, Keep on the Sunny Side. Our voices all lifting together, Ken keeping rhythm with his washboard, and as Krista puts it later, there is so much heart being manifested here in our abandon to the music that this feels like one of those thin places where the veil shows through to that other side where joy is complete and grief banished. The way I'm picturing it is heaven, where when we finally breeze in with strings blazing, ready to sing, God will likely just whoop from the stage the way I did and throw his set list up in the air, never to come down again, forever.
So I had a couple different things pop into my head too. But I am going to play music. But this one's on the little darker side. Since you took the light side, I'll take the darker side.
Fair enough.
This is called John at the Piano. John's hands are tarantulas that skitter over the ivories. His beret-laden All Souls skull hangs from music's rear view mirror. What does he see with his eyes so wide? The blues, and the fist behind the blues. His voice and herky-jerky piano are road bricks thrown at you, like some shoeshine's prophecy. He doesn't embrace the world. He can't get comfortable in the world, but he's right behind it. Between sets, he walks across the road, hunched with his hands in his pockets. You watch him wrestle with his soul as he bends over a bridge railing and looks down on the Mississippi as if it were carrying off his wife.
Hello.
Wow.
And
That's a heavy poem.
he lost his wife that way.
She suicided?
Yeah.
Huh.
So my wife interrupted the suicide on the High Bridge one day.
Yeah.
Out there dancing.
Oh wow.
And there's a guy talking down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're responsible to make sure his life's good, right?
Yeah.
Well, this has a little of that, the river.
Yeah.
This will get on a river here. This is called Keep Your Stick on the Ice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Kai says he lost his eye in a high-stakes hockey game. Got paid to throw it. Swung his stick and started the fight. In the end, there was a settlement, and now Kai lives in his dad's garage. He made it like a cabin out there, insulated the walls, built a loft, peed outside. He fills his time doing cocaine and acid mostly. Smokes a lot of dope in between. He golfs in the morning, catfishes at night. Chemicals don't frighten him. He doesn't worry about how many meals he eats out of the river in a week. LSD or PCBs, what's that matter to the guy with the glass eye? He thinks about settling down, especially if he got some girl preggo, he says. His dad talks about moving into the garage himself. Lives in his basement right now and rents out the upstairs. If he lived in the garage, he could rent out the basement too. Kai's not sure where he'd go. It could be anywhere, as long as he could fish. Said he's cutting back on the acid now, only doing it a couple times a month. Says he knows guys who do it daily, and they're pretty much all over the place. I told him a guy could get unmoored that way. He doesn't know what that means. I say, to moor a boat, you gotta tie it to a pier. Otherwise, it's adrift. It's unmoored. Kai likes that idea. He says he never thought of it before.
True story?
True story.
Thank you.
Just verbatim.
Oh, yeah.
It was the glass eye.
Right. Yes.
And there's a father in there too.
Yes.
See how this works?
A way into seeing.
Oh, nice.
You're waiting for the door to close behind you in the warm light. Catch a glimpse of the wren house hanging from the bare branch in the dead plum tree. White fecal stains run down the weathered wood like time exposures of a tiny constellation. You pick up 2 white moths at the garden edge, one unmoving, the other still alive, joined with each other, as if after mating. Or maybe they were battered down together in the night's hard rain. You tease them gently apart. The one that survived the night struggles into the clear blue sky, offering up its reassuring distance. The city morning is so quiet you can hear your own breathing. The church bells chiming softly in the distance. Year after year, in the silent time that conjures forgotten prayer, plaintive, deal-making born from a necessary weakness. You conjure someone, even if only imagined, to talk to about your fears, an icy turn in the road, or another choice, until something like a revolving equation comes rushing back toward itself into the still dark center. Maybe some other hunger of the spirit makes traveling without a clear destination a necessary ritual. Maybe it's a door in the pane, opening out into the wind. a way into seeing how unhappiness in other lives can form you, leave its birthmark on your body, struggling to rise on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going with the eye. Still, the eye plays a role in this poem. It begins with a quote from maybe the single most amazing nonfiction book I've ever read, which is called The 7 Mysteries of Life by someone named Guy Murchie. It's about this thick. 17 years, he tried to encapsulate everything that was known about life on the planet. 7 Mysteries of Life. It's an amazing book. So this is called A Kingfisher, and it begins with Guy Murchie's quote. Who conceived the eye back in the primeval darkness of early evolution? A kingfisher's white neckband flashes, spot of brightness among the dusky trees. Fascinating to watch his fishing ritual, abrupt nosedive into the water, completely vanishing before splashing up and outward back into the trees with a little cackle of what? Satisfaction? Disappointment? Joy? To scan again for swimming prey. If I stand here long enough, I'll see him dive, splash, and rise again in his swooping flight. Lucky us to have eyes, able to zoom in on a hectic flyer across a river. Luckier still, his own many times more acute vision for those quick scattering lives on which he subsists. I don't doubt that were the whole earth blind, we'd have equally vivid ways of perceiving, but that would be a different universe. So let's give thanks for this world sky flooded with light for all the sighted beings, a gift from the divine, unseen creator of eyes.
Yeah. We'll do one more, but you pick whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm going to continue. What would Blake see? Now, this comes from, if those in front, this is a little sketch that Dallas did. And it looks like an eye.
Wonderful.
You see that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a spider web or something.
What would Blake see? What would Blake see today if he lived in Minneapolis? A gigantic silicone eye above unfurling flags on the stadium's crown? Would he listen to swirling highway noise, the staccato sirens of the police chases, or those clouds of heavy music swiftly breaking into explosions? Would he recognize the undraped dancers who frequent dark rooms and chrome poles rather than the riverside? Would he forego his gilding, his hot red paint, and his warm yellows for the blue, black, and green inks so prized by the girls at Lyle's tattoo place?
This one's called A Christmas Letter. Dear Nola, happy to hear you caught another wedding bouquet. Hope the bedbugs don't mess up your game. Yes, it's true. I'm living the fairy tale, dating the whore of Babylon, dumb with pleasure. Overhead, black helicopters blow back a conspiracy of ex-Nazis, proto-Stalinists, Mormon revisionists, UFOs, and capitalists drunk on Jesus. No wolf in the woods, no mermaid on a rock. I'm a field of wheat, sown, irrigated, and cultivated. A John Barleycorn affair, offering his obscenely ripe head. A honeybee collecting pollen. Rattlesnake producing venom. A blizzard of mayflies on an August night. I'm milked. Venom or cream, viper and cow. Harvested, husbanded, pruned and picked. An empty nursing home bed. A gold tooth and 2 titanium screws. In this fairy tale, we embrace a world numbed by God and football, extol its amazing age and fireless flame technology handcrafted by the Amish, revere a freezer full of frozen pheasant breasts, bucket lunch for Cassandra dozing in her hope chest, humming along to some brass-aged lullaby, heartfelt ode to Licorice Dick's Roadhouse gravy. We cross the river, power cord couple nursing a busted whammy bar, seeking sustain, navigating the trans-suburban highway, guided by stars, crippled by doubt. A jar full of fireflies to light the way.
Wow. That's incredible. One more? I think this poem speaks to what we always need, but definitely heading into what seems like a very dark time. The necessity of beauty. And probably by the word beauty, I don't just mean pretty things, but maybe what Keats had in mind.
Yeah.
The necessity of beauty. One of my Black Hills poems. A great herd of elk lies on the hillside where you first saw them in winter, in gray grass raked with late day sunlight and then the lengthening shadows. Now the tall grass turns dull, waiting. You can just follow the faint trails of buffalo through the cropped grass, here, where you feel the wind passing through you, until you become almost nothing in the sunlight, in the silence flowing between the low hills, and the precisely composed trace your mind leaves in red Triassic dirt. As the long, dry days of summer linger like apparitions, bearing white flowers, and time passes over the hushed valley, where a fallen tree moves in the wind, sighing as if sleep were an old friend returning. Lately, I had forgotten about forgiveness. I walk early this morning along a road I love. The deer are gone, their dried tracks worn away, their dark, shining eyes not looking up from the meadow, where I search for some kinship beyond species or language, a different kind of hunger. Maybe the storm held them up in the pines, taking refuge among the shadows, lying down in warm beds of matted grass. They shape with their russet bodies in summer maybe they would not want to speak of it, of learning to live with loss, as the road moves simply over the mute hills, and deep plaintive sorrow bleeds into the days passing, like the swans, unable to pause in their migration.
So, this is a poem from a few weeks before the world changed. It's about comet chasing out in western Wisconsin. An hour on a country road. It's a farm cemetery set on the edge of cornfields, stretching out to the west, affording an expansive view of the sky. Waiting for the wide glow of sunset to damp down, I pace the perimeter. Some extremely old graves, also some new. Dense cedars, corn leaves flown from the harvest. I notice that all of the stones face west. Venus blinks on, then Arcturus farther to the north. A few red clouds simmer in the darkening canopy. Another car pulls up, parks, then another. I'm not alone, nor was I before. In the dimming light, binocular lenses glint. Strangers quickly coalesce into a search party for that elusive object out there. We trade binocs, offer suggestions, and suddenly, as if our trying together has accomplished it, the beautiful thing happens. Everyone sees it. That snow ghost dancing in its veils, 44 million miles out in space. But more wonderful still is this impromptu club of observers out on a chill October evening to catch a glimpse of that most ephemeral visitor. Here, if here even makes sense, this one time in 80,000 years, all of us facing west, with that peaceful west-facing community at our backs, as we exclaim over having viewed it in our combined pursuit, none of our differences in the way of our joy, in the common Suchin Shan Atlas.
Yeah, help me choose my last one. I'm just going back and forth between a couple. This is called Trembling Trevor. And I wrote this poem. Actually, I didn't read it. I kind of channeled it the first time when Gary and Dallas and the Spirit House Quartet were playing Jeff Warrian's song, Seafoam. I just let it come. I've polished this so it could be printed. Trembling Trevor. My heart's a retired blue horse, swimming in a sea of sadness, dreaming of days long past, when the tape broke across his chest and the roar of 50,000 people filled his trembling body. Now, in his sorrow and sadness, Trembling Trevor knows that beneath the sadness, beneath the grief, beneath the roots of all he has become, there is a great yellow fire of joy. And that fire is trembling inside the moods of Arctic winter. It's waiting to rip open the leather blanket of sorrow. It's ready to shout to the roof of the sky, where stars flash and flare with boreal joy of 50,000 people. And Trembling Trevor dreams of the seraphim's voices. He dreams of time to come when his heart trembles again. He hears the hoofbeats of joy quickly coming behind him, ready to carry him into the other world. Feel it trembling, rising out of the ground. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We each have a trembling Trevor ready to enter this world. Let go of the reins. Ride the great beast of joy. Climb the auroras. Scale the stars into the ineffable duff of existence. So it's been a joy to have you here. It's been a joy with Scott Vetsch, Michael Moos, Thomas R. Smith, and myself. I hope you all sleep well tonight.
Yeah, better.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks for listening.
Yes.